Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday and welcome to Tips from the Experts. My name is Erin Gibbard and I'm the Direct Sales Manager at Repechage Skincare. Here to discuss pimples and wrinkles, acne at any age are Dr. Natalia Fazilova and global skincare expert Lydia Sarfati. Dr. Natalia is a New York City-based holistic medical practitioner and co-founder of Rebalance, a medical and aesthetic center in the heart of New York City on Madison Avenue. Dr. Natalia is also the author of Amazon's bestseller, Health and Wellness for Busy Women. Thank you, Dr. Natalia, for sharing your expertise with us today.
Hi, Erin.
Hi. Lydia Sarfati is the president, founder, and CEO of Repechage Skincare, the pioneers in seaweed-based skincare since 1980. Lydia is also the president of Sedesco Section USA, the global leaders in beauty therapy standards. Lydia's accolades don't stop there. She is also the author of Success at Your Fingertips, which is truly the beauty business Bible. Thank you for sharing your time with us today, Lydia. You are the queen of blackheads after all.
Queen of blackheads, now queen of webinars. I just finished this morning a webinar for 1,200 people in India.
Oh, wow.
So I am doing these webinars every single day. And this will be my new crown, the queen of webinars. In the 70s, I was the queen of blackheads. In the 80s, I became the queen of seaweed. Now I'm going to be the queen of webinars. What can I tell you? So thank you, Erin.
Of course, of course. Lydia and Dr. Natalia have partnered to provide complimentary medical and aesthetics consultations. I will send a link to book your appointment with them in the chat here. If anyone has any questions during our discussion today, I encourage you to write them in the chat and we will get to them as they come in. So without further ado, let's get into clean, clear, and healthy skin at any age. I read a super interesting statistic recently that acne is actually one of the most common conditions affecting over 50 million Americans annually. And 40% of those people will do absolutely nothing to treat the condition. That being said, if any of you fit into this statistic, we are here to change your life today. Dr. Natalia, can you explain to any of our new viewers a little bit about holistic medicine, what it is, and what a typical holistic approach to treating acne looks like?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Erin. I first gotta take a minute and tell people why I'm doing it. Like, how did I get into this holistic skincare? So kind of makes sense and understand where it's coming from. So my background is working. I've worked for a long time in a gynecology setting, and I've been taking care of patients coming in with a lot of hormonal issues. We're talking about polycystic ovaries. We're talking about um, menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. I was very knowledgeable and was able to help them with their hormones. But common question that used to come up was my acne. What do I do about my acne? How do I take care of it? Why am I getting in my menopause and all of a sudden start having acne? I never had it even when I was a teenager. And what I was doing for them at the time was just prescribing birth control pills, and I wouldn't see results that we were looking for. So that kind of led me to look into it. So I went back and I did more postgraduate education to kind of learn if there's a connection with hormonal imbalances and acne and what else could be done beside giving them creams. So if we're giving them antibiotics or creams, they do not help. So there was something going on. And once I finished my studies, I really realized that there is connection. There's connection between acne and hormonal changes during puberty. We're talking about teenage years. Anybody who is going through changes pre and post pregnancy, definitely when there is changes with hormones in menopausal, premenopausal, and postmenopausal years. So it finally started to make sense And that's where I realized that the only way to treat and be successful is to do holistic medicine. So in our practice, and our clinic is in the city, we have a wellness center plus the beauty center in it. And that's the only way I see things work. So when someone comes in and see me or my esthetician for acne, let's say, my first question would be, did you ever check your hormones? So we look at their hormones, we balance their hormones, and then while we're balancing their hormones, we obviously taking care of their skin from outside as well by changing their nutrition, looking at their gut health, and doing all the aesthetic treatment, proper skincare. And we see amazing results when everything is done together. And that's what holistic skincare looks like. Your beauty comes from inside, and if your inside are healthy, you look great on outside as well with proper skincare. Obviously, what you can do without it, but it has to be combined. It doesn't work when you do it pieces, just the skincare or just nutrition. It has to be 360-degree approach, and that's what we do in our clinic.
Lydia, I know that you share this philosophy. In fact, one of the things I actually learned from you many years ago when I was doing my training with you, and we were covering the hydrometic treatment and home care collection, was that there were so many calming ingredients in the program and the products. Can you explain a little bit about Reposage's multifaceted approach to treating acne?
So just like Dr. Natalia, I have had a lot of experience in dealing with problem skin. Ever since I came to United States, working in other salons and spas, and then eventually opening up in 1977 my own skincare clinic. My approach was scientific and holistic, based on science, based on chemistry, based on histology, coupled with the holistic approach. So we always looked at the skin from within as well as what you're putting on topically, because very often cosmetics do have a irritating factor on the skin, and some cosmetics contribute actually to acne. It's known as acne cosmetica. Back in the 70s, the cosmetics were made very differently than they are today. They were very heavy. They were using emulsifiers like isopropyl myristate, and combined with mineral oil and lanolin, you really had a whole other event taking place. So cosmetics can cause acne for sure. Foods can not that they will cause, there is this misconception with foods that if you eat chocolate, you're going to break out. It has actually nothing to do with your chocolate eating. It has more to do with the sugar content in the chocolate. So if you have high content of cacao in your chocolate bar, 80 or 85%, and not have like those cheap chocolates that have 80% sugar, milk, and maybe there is traces of cocoa, you will not break out. So yes, nutrition, holistic approach, looking at cosmetics, looking at what are the ingredients. And I found in all of my years of working behind the chair that very often clients actually cause breakouts themselves. They see a blackhead on the nose or the chin or the cheek, and they go viciously at it. They look in the mirror, they pop the blackhead, and guess what? They wake up with a pimple. And they say, I don't know what happened. Overnight, I got pimples. Well, what happened was you probably went at it with dirty fingernails, and this skin is not sterile. It has a lot of little residents on it called acne bacteria. And when skin is a barrier, but if you pick on it, break it, those little guys that live on your skin are ready to go in and do a little hoopla on you. So whatever you do, don't squeeze, don't pick, don't use your nails to do that, because I guarantee you, you will wake up with a pimple in the morning.
I heard you last week, Lydia, doing one of your consultations, and you said to the client, if you feel like you're going to pick, put gloves on and do not touch your face.
Yes, it's very important, you know, because very often people don't even realize that. They sit, they watch TV, especially today and during the COVID, everyone is watching TV, and they don't even realize they sit there and they pinch the skin. It's like, what is it? The chopped meat? What are you doing? Meatballs on your face, you know? So if you're not aware that you're pinching and mincing, put gloves on and you're not going to do that. You're not going to irritate your skin. Simple suggestion, but it does work.
Yes, definitely. Dr. Natalia, if you have a patient come in that has been picking and picking at their skin and has caused hyperpigmentation, scarring, what options do they have to treat, and how close can you get to eliminating the scarring?
Question, I guess, twofold. First, if they still have active acne. So if they do, first step would be to eliminate that active acne. If they don't, if we're talking about old scars and old hyperpigmentation, then it's a different approach. Then we're working on rejuvenating the skin and eliminating pigmentation, evening out the skin tone. And the best approach, it's microneedling. Microneedling seems to work best in those cases. It helps to build up collagen. So if somebody has indentation and grooves, post-acne scars, it will help to raise them up, build the collagen, and cover those holes that people sometimes develop as the scars. If it's hyperpigmentation, that microneedling will help hyperpigmentation as well. So that seems to be working the best. And again, as I said, it depends on if there's active acne still or if it's not. So we kind of look to see if somebody has combined, they still have a little bit of active acne and then they have still hyperpigmentation and the scars, then treatment would be combined. First, you cleanse the face, you clear up the acne, and then you continue with microneedling to help the heal what it was. And I agree with Lydia, a lot of acne scars come when people start picking their pimples. And I usually don't recommend, I usually tell people strictly, you want beautiful skin, you need to stop picking your skin.
Yeah,
And
and
the best thing to
I
do is avoid acne completely and kind of prevent it. In the long run, it works much better than fixing it later on.
yeah, and I always will say to, like even to my teenage grandchildren, I said, don't pick your pimples if you get one, because they will go away. Use this product, but a scar is not going to go away. So that is one of the most important things, that if we can teach the teenagers, young people, but also, you know, I find that women in their 50s were coming in and saying, what's going on as a teenager? I never had acne, and now I have wrinkles and I have acne. What's going on with my skin? And never mind just pimples and acne, now I have mustache and a beard. What's happening with me? So I always will say it's like a God's little joke, you know. Men become more gentle because the testosterone goes down, and women become more aggressive because the testosterone goes up and causes havoc with growing mustache and growing hair on the chin, and giving you pimples at the same time. So that is very interesting. I always find it quite interesting how nature and how we are reacting with what's going on in every decade in our life.
Yes, and there is an explanation for it as well. As we age, you brought up a good point. As we age, for males, the testosterone levels drop, so the estrogen levels become imbalanced. And for females, our estrogen and progesterone levels drop. So we don't produce more testosterone as we get older, but because everything else drop in comparison, our testosterone becomes more elevated. So that's kind of what causes the mustache and what causes the pimples and reaction that person is having. And I had to deal with a lot of clients, menopausal, premenopausal, or postmenopausal, that having pimples and having the symptoms. And what is the best way to deal with it? Taking care of the skin. You might need to change your skincare routine as well. It's not one cream that you take and you use it for the rest 40 years of your life. As you go through those stages, your skincare needs to be changing and adjusting, plus needs to take a look at the hormones and balancing them out. We kind of balance out and see where the deficit is. If one is more than another, if we need to kind of change things around, and what do we need to do with the diet, with the lifestyle to balance it out so you avoid those pimples, avoid the mustache, and kind of still look like a beautiful female, don't become a male at the end, right? So that's kind of the goal for this.
Lydia, Dr. Natalia spoke about microneedling as a form of post-acne treatment. Is exfoliation safe for active acne breakouts? And if so, what is the safest exfoliation practice?
Right. So even if you're going in for microneedling, and I want to say it only should be done by a doctor or a nurse, it should not be done by an esthetician. We just don't have sufficient in USA. There are not sufficient amount of hours for an aesthetic license to have you really qualified to do microneedling where you are drawing blood. So I just want to point this out. For preparing the skin, even for microneedling, I would recommend that we use, or even for acne client, one of the products that I have made in 1996 is this wonderful Rapidex. So Rapidex is a controlled unidose exfoliant, pH of 3.8, with a total percentage of alpha beta hydroxy acid at 8%. So it's safe, controlled, and unidose, so no cross-contamination. You open it at the time of usage and you swab your face. You can do that at home 14 days in a row in a very safe way. Once you use the Rapidex, you could also follow up with the BioLite sheet mask because of the high percentage of glutathione is going to help us with prevention of the hyperpigmentation or darkening of the skin in the areas of where the pimple is. And because we are using Rapidex and the BioLite sheet mask, I always recommend using our face shield that has the zinc oxide and titanium dioxide and a little bit of silicone. So it goes on very smooth and it creates like a little cushion on the face without actually causing breakouts or clogging up the pores. So it's really like just like a nylon stocking on your face, literally, that gives you a great protection. So we find that this type of regimen works really, really well. We have had great results with clients in a professional setting with a professional hydrometic treatment, even incorporating into that course glycopeel because we have it at 35% in a 3.5 pH, but this is for professional use only. I would not recommend that the consumer will use that strength at home.
Dr. Natalia, are there different types of acne? And if so, are there common causes for each?
Yes, definitely. And we have, there is acne that's cystic, there's acne that's inflamed, so different expression of acne, and one person could have combination of several of them. Causes are different, so treatment might be a little bit different as well, depending on the cause, depending on the age, depending on the skin condition of the person. We had an episode a couple of weeks back when we discussed rosacea and breakouts with rosacea. So treatment depends on what kind of acne person has. There's also some relationship onto where acne is happening. If we're talking about acne, and I see it If acne is somewhere in the lower face, seems to be more related to the gut health and to the hormones. If we're talking about acne that's somewhere on the upper portion of the face, seems to be related a little bit to food sensitivities. Or if we're talking about acne that goes as a mask, red mask across the nose, mostly rosacea related. So it all depends on what the cause of acne is, and treatment would be different as well. And with the exfoliation and the treatment for the skin, it's all on individual basis. That's why Lydia is offering right now skin consultation. Repertoire company has a huge variety, it's over 200, right, Lydia? How many products do you have?
Yes, over 220.
Over 200. And the reason is because there's so many different skin conditions. You cannot come up with one cream and expect it to work for everybody, and that's not the goal. Every single client that comes to our practice goes through individual consultation and comes out with individual plan of care. Plus, that plan of care changes. So if you're having acute acne right now, this is the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what you're taking home. That's what you're doing in the office. 3 months later, we reevaluate the skin and see what's going on at this point. Did the treatment help? Did not help? If the weather changes, if the season changes, then we adjust the skincare routine based on what is going on in their life, how their skin looks like, and then what's going on outside as well. So it's not as easy and simple. And I hate it when our clients come in, they go on Dr. Google, they Google things out, and they start treating themselves. Dr. Google has enough information, but Dr. Google doesn't have a license. It doesn't have education that we go through. And that's what I usually say. Dr. Google is only an informational source. I love to have educated clients, and I believe that you have to know what you're doing, but that information is not enough, right? You have to see a specialist that will tell you what to do with that information and would it apply to you directly. So my usually recommendation is see a specialist, feel free to read about it on Dr. Google, get all the information that you can, but then use that knowledge correctly so it actually benefits you and have the right regimen specifically designed for you. That works much better to avoid complication down the road. And Lydia is a great example. Hopefully, when I get to your age, Lydia, I will look as beautiful as you are.
You will, darling, because you will use Reperchage.
Yes, I am using Reperchage. So
yes, but I just want to add something to it, Erin, if I may. This week, I think, was in the beginning of the week when some of the salons have reopened in Georgia. We had one of our estheticians calling Erin actually frantically, having a client come in, some unscrupulous person, there are many of those, sold to this client over the phone a TCA peel for her acne and hyperpigmentation. And when the lady called us up for me to look at what happened to her skin, and she put the phone close to it so I can really look at it, it was a disaster. So here again, never, ever, ever, as a consumer, use something that it's not designated for a consumer use that has been tested properly. I hope that unscrupulous person and unprofessional person will lose their license, because you as a consumer should never use a TCA peel at home by yourself. And it was a disaster. I mean, what we have seen, I felt like I want to cry for her because disaster. I mean, really disaster. But this is what's happening. And in our industry, especially, and I'm sure Dr. Natalia, you have seen that, you know, people come in with all kind of craziness on their skin because you know, they go on internet, they go on Amazon, they go here, they go there, they buy these, what they call medical strength. What is medical strength? Exactly, I don't understand that. So there is a lot of, basically many companies out there, many professionals, so-called professionals, really create a very wrong picture about the products, about how the products are tested, and they're not responsible and they providing to the client products that the client should never be using.
We actually have a few questions coming in. Mira asks, when you are working with an acne client and choosing the mask, how would you determine whether to use sea mud mask or clear complexion mask?
Oh, it's a question for me. Okay.
Yes.
So basically, the clear complexion mask is a sulfur-based mask. It's very strong. So number one, you want to find out if there are any contraindication to sulfur. If the client has allergies to sulfur, you definitely should not want to use this mask. But it's very powerful and very good for, I would say, cystic acne client, while the mud mask is more applicable for basic acne vulgaris. When there are comedones, there are some pustules, but we don't have the nodules and we don't have the cysts. So it's more mild, but certainly effective due to the ictimol and diatomaceous earth and kaolin, and of course the seaweeds in it.
Susan, it's funny that you asked that. Dr. Natalia, Lydia, and I were just talking about this before we logged on here. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously wearing a mask is a must. So many people are experiencing redness, irritation, and breakouts due to that trapped moisture and bacteria. What can you do to help clients that are experiencing this kind of irritation?
So what I do, and I'm sure Dr. Natalia will jump in a minute, but I wear this mask, which is the surgical mask, not the N95, and I take a tissue and I put it in the mask, and then I put it on my face, and then I throw away the tissue every hour on the hour. So this way, I'm not breathing into the same layer of the charcoal layer, and I have the charcoal layer mask, which is very nice as well, but throwing it out, also keeping this area nice and clean and dry. And Erin, I think you were saying that one of your cousins is using the mineral face shield, and I put mineral face shield as well under the makeup, and that delivers that extra cushion on your skin as well. But then afterwards, proper cleansing using like a cleanser, like a red out cleanser is very suitable for that, and just keeping it nice and dry. So use more of a serum and a face shield rather than putting on perhaps a heavy moisturizer would not be advisable when you're having the mask on all the time. But Dr. Natalia, what are your thoughts on it?
Yes, I've been doing virtual consultation, and I have a lot of friends and colleagues that work in the medical field when they are supposed to wear the mask and the shield and kind of on daily basis. This seems to be a problem. The biggest challenge is with the humid and the heat coming up. I think it's going to get worse. And you're right, as a protection, making sure that the area is clean, because the air that you're breathing in, constantly inhaling and exhaling, it's a place for bacteria to grow. So keep the area very clean. It's a good idea to change the tissue on hourly basis, because if you keep one mask for a whole day, you could imagine the amount of bacteria that's been collected there, and probably the reason why there's breakouts. And having the mineral shield, do you have the bottle to show, Lydia? Do you have it?
Yeah, sure. So the mineral face shield has very high percentage of zinc. There is about 40% of zinc in here, zinc oxide, and silicone and nylon. So that gives you like that stacking on your face, a barrier and protection, and it cushions. There is no oils here. There is no water here. There is no fragrance. So it's very, I called it face shield. I mean, who knew that we're all going to be talking about face shield during COVID-19? But it is a really great product for this purpose. I really recommend it highly. So it's our face shield, yeah.
We will have a whole episode next week where we'll be talking step by step and details on what to do and how to protect skin during this pandemic. Now that we are opening up and going back to work, a lot of people would be advised to wear mask, or some places it's actually mandatory to have mask on. So I think it's going to be a big issue, and we will talk about it next week in details on what needs to be done to protect your skin. With the summer coming up, it's going to be a challenge. So
Yes, especially like you have said, in our production, our staff needs to have a face mask, a face shield, the whole gear, and gloves and protective wear. So right now the weather is nice in New York, but like you have said, soon we will be hitting the humidity and the 80s and the 90s degrees, and we are going to be experiencing a whole new issues and challenges.
Dr. Natalia, I was speaking actually with a client this morning who treats a large part of her clientele in the spa is acne focused. She's looking for programs, and I'm looking to understand why or how she can have, or anyone in general can have sensitive acne skin or dehydrated acne skin. Can you explain maybe what's happening internally that for these conditions to present?
right. So common misconception is that acne happens only who has oily skin, right? That seems to be like that's not true. You could have acne even without having oily skin if you have dry skin or sensitive skin. What is the cause of acne? Part of it is, as I mentioned before, hormonal. Part of it is coming in from the GI tract. It's when your sebaceous gland gets filled with dead skin cells, plus bacteria starts getting in there, and then there's inflammatory process that causes acne. So anything that irritates the skin and makes that sebaceous gland affected will have acne. So if it's sensitive skin, I've seen people overusing product and making skin get irritated even more. And when the skin gets irritated, there's an inflammatory process. Inflammatory process brings more white blood cells, red blood cells to the area, cause more inflammation. So that's a way for acne to develop. If it's a dry skin, over drying that skin, it makes things worse. So it has to be appropriate regimen based on the skin condition you have. And as Lydia was saying, was the case when somebody did the peel at home and ruined their skin. I see a lot of people using wrong products and ruining their skin. Retinol-based products, right? They're very popular now. They're not for everybody. Anybody who has rosacea shouldn't be using retinol products. Any vitamin C, when something as safe as vitamin C containing product could not be used for each skin condition, or should be used carefully if you have an inflammation or if you have an active acne. So it's all about finding the right problem and then using the right skincare regimen to heal the problem, and then have a continuous home care treatment that will benefit the skin, will decrease inflammation, will decrease dryness, will heal the acne, and will help the skin to rejuvenate and heal itself. Our skin has a great ability to rejuvenate itself and kind of keep it young and healthy if it's done correctly. And that's usually my goal. It's not the goal to keep you in my practice forever. I mean, I would love to have no problems with it, but my goal is to take care of the problem and give you the tools to educate you to continue to take care of your skin to prevent problems in the future.
So what I have noticed over the, almost 5 decades of working is that very often what clients will use on their skin are just really soap, sodium lauryl sulfate washes that are stripping the natural pH balance, that they will use hydrogen peroxide, that they will use really things that are super irritating. On top of it, they will use scrubs that are irritating and aggravating, highly alkaline. So what is important with the repechage skincare approach, that our whole hydramedic range of products is designed to balance the condition, keep the bacteria, the P. acne bacteria at bay, certainly provide proper moisture level, and to also help with the reduction of the pore size. In addition to, when we see a client's skin is very inflamed, we never recommend using a hot steam. And that is sometimes a very bad mistake that estheticians make. They will boil the face up in the steam because they think that's the way to remove the pimples or blackheads. Well, that is only going to make the skin more inflamed and more irritated. So we use galvanic current like the syncrustation. We use the syncrustation solutions. We balance the pH. We will recommend products with microsilver to help again the bacteria accumulation. So there are lots of different ways of approaching, but certainly we always recommend serums for hydration because that's the number one thing. You may not need to use a moisturizer, but you certainly need to use a serum and a protective cream. So that's just something to keep in mind, that hydration is a key.
Absolutely. So Lydia, you would say that incorporating red out products with some of a hydrometic regimen or C serum with some of a hydrometic regimen would be okay and recommended.
Yes. So we have great results, and maybe when we will send you the link, I will, Erin, maybe you should include some of the before and afters.
Yes.
Where sometimes we have clients that we use hydrometic, we get them through certain point, we then go to the BioLite, we go to the red out. So it's not kind of a cookie cutter, this is it, that's all what you're using. You need to take a look at the entire problem and design a program that is suitable to address that particular client issues. In simple acne vulgaris, well, maybe hydrometic is good enough. But if we're going into cystic acne, inflammatory acne, all different type of acnes, we need to reach out and borrow products from the BioLite and borrow products from the Red Out collection to give the client the best results.
Perfect. We have a question here from CW. She says she has cystic acne, currently using hydrometic collection. Do you have any other suggestions to getting her face clear?
Is she an esthetician?
CW, are you an esthetician?
Well, she first needs to look to see what's causing her cystic acne, right?
Right.
So
She's an esthetician?
She didn't answer yet.
Okay.
But we'll see.
First to find the root cause, and causes of cystic acne, a lot of times it's from inside. I also would like to see if she has rosacea or not. So,
right, so she would be, we would both recommend that she makes an appointment with myself and with Dr. Natalia so we can really look at her skin.
And get to the root of it.
She's an esthetician. We could recommend for her the glycosepia with mud, and that would work very well. But I don't want to just make a general statement before looking at her skin. And then Dr. Natalia would look at it from the medical perspective as well.
Definitely. CW, the links to book your complimentary consultation are at the top of the chat. We'll share them again at the end of this session. A question for Dr. Natalia. Alicia asks, what side of the surgical mask should she wear, blue or white?
does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Well, technically the blue side should be, and depending on the company, actually, I shouldn't say that. Depending on the company, if the mask is similar to what Lydia had that has carbon inside, then you will wear it with the carbon side inside. So it depends on which surgical company you're using. And usually when it comes with the pack, it will tell you, but in reality, if you're putting the face shield and you're putting the tissue inside, it technically would not matter. I've seen some masks, they will have on one side a water protective layer that's a little bit shiny. So you would need to look at it as well. It depends on what mask are you having and which company is actually producing it. They're a little bit different.
Right, the water protective layer, and I check those, I find that you sweat underneath that
A little bit
they're
more.
polymers.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to be wearing the mask all day long, unless you're standing in the rain, I would not recommend putting the polymer side of the mask on your face.
Understood. I've heard so often people say, oh, I have acne, I don't need a moisturizer. Why is this such a common misconception? And can you explain why absolutely you definitely need to be applying something to the face, whether it's, you know, a heavier moisturizer or, like you were saying, serum?
So for acne clients, I don't recommend applying an emulsion. You know, all my moisturizers, most of the moisturizers are an emulsion. So they are an oil and water combination, and then you need emulsifiers, and some emulsifiers could be comedogenic. So for most of the time, again, depending on the severity of acne, I don't recommend using a moisturizer, but I do recommend using serums. So a product like C serum or the B3 serum that we have, and then follow up with a face shield for the protective barrier. We recommend for the night salicylic acid serum in combination with the wonderful willow bark extracts and also Laminaria digitata. We add to it hyaluronic acid, for example. So the formula is very important of how it is done. We want to make sure that the skin is well hydrated, but it's not always necessary to have an emulsion. Remember, all emulsion are oil and water based.
Great. We have a question from Candy. Hi, ladies. Is it good or bad to use tea tree oil on pimples to heal?
I'm answering this? Okay.
Yeah, your call.
Okay. So, you know, while the tea tree oil is very nice, you know, maybe for a foot massage or an invigorating scalp massage, but it is really too irritating and sensitizing to apply it on a pustule. What will heal a pustule is a product with kojic acid, sulfur, camphor. Kojic acid is derived from mushrooms. It's terrific. Glabidrin derived from licorice root extract. Alcohol, you know, a nice combination like that will help overnight to heal the pustule and reduce the inflammation. Tea tree oil will not do that.
Well, tea tree oil is considered antibacterial, and that's where the idea came to use it for acne. If you look from theoretical perspective, if it's antibacterial, it should help to prevent acne. Once the bacteria is already there and there's inflammation that's causing the acne, then it's not going to help. It's just going to cause more irritation, actually could cause more inflammation. So that's kind
like I have said, it's wonderful for your feet.
Dr. Natalia, with summer coming and hopefully us being allowed out of the houses, will be it. Please.
Praying, yes.
A lot of the times, you know, the men will be shirtless at the beach, women wear, you know, spaghetti straps, and a lot of the time there is so much congestion and buildup and acne pustules on the back. Are there any specific causes to acne internally? And if so, what are we looking to eliminate to avoid this?
Yes, we do treat acne as well. It's funny that you said it. We call it the same way.
Yeah.
But for males, especially young males, it is higher testosterone production that causes it, combined with excess sweat. I see a lot of males getting it after exercising in the gyms and sweating. So recommendation is yes, they do produce testosterone, and we don't want to decrease the testosterone production for a male, definitely not. But what could cause also increased testosterone production is increased cortisol that caused by stress. So it seems to be stress related, plus improper care. If you exercise and been in the gym and wearing a t-shirt and you kind of sweat, good idea is, if possible, to take a shower right after and change the shirt. Remove it, because if you're sweating and sweating and your sebaceous glands are very active, easily to get congested and kind of causing back acne. So that's one solution. And then if it's a female, then we need to check to see if there's a hormonal imbalance. I don't see as much acne for females caused by exercising or gym. I mean, that does not mean 100%, but I see it less so in females as males. In females, it more seems to be related to hormonal imbalances like polycystic ovary syndrome. When somebody has imbalance of hormones, seems to cause it. Could be, I don't see it in menopausal years. I see it more for teenagers. So definitely looking into see if there's some hormonal issue, then that's kind of going to help to eliminate it. So it seems to be kind of different for females and males depending on the cause.
Do you find also that steroids sometimes, you know, the young men especially, they take those workout enhancement powders, and I find that those that do actually exemplify more of the acne breakouts on the back or the chest area.
Yes.
That is something to perhaps address as well.
If it's just the protein powder, the protein shakes that people take to build their muscles, then they should be okay. If that protein shake or exercise booster has some steroids or anything that will increase the cortisol production and increase testosterone production, then yes, definitely it could cause more acne. And I've seen it as well. So protein powders, something that's given as a drink to boost muscle production, it's healthy, that's okay. Preferably organic version, and preferably something that's made less chemicals and more natural. If it has something to do with changing the hormonal component, which a lot of those boosters do have, so you have to be a little bit careful, because it could make not only acne worse, it affects the whole hormonal panel that eventually in the long run could cause a lot of problems. So yeah.
Right. That's what we have noticed as well with, you know, when you ask the question, do you use any medication or steroids beyond? No, no, no. And then when you kind of dig in a little bit deeper, you find out that's yes, yes, yes. But, you know, going to the gym, I think will be a whole different experience today. Once the gym open, I think people are going to be really very conscious about, you know, really cleaning the equipment that they use. I mean, I used to go to the gym every day. And I mean, now when I think back, it was probably such a gross experience because people next to me would be like, I never sweat, but people next to me would be like sweating, pouring the water everywhere, you know, splattering. I would always run away. But I think we will be very conscientious about how we go back to the gym and what precautions we take overall.
Excellent. Lydia, what ingredients are we looking for in a home care program to treat acne conditions?
I love salicylic acid. You know, for me, salicylic acid, I'm in love with it since the 70s. It's a great ingredient. In low dosage, it works very well. Under 2% is very effective. I combine under 2% salicylic acid with 20% of willow bark extract, and it's like a magic on the skin. Salicylic acid is keratolytic. vis-a-vis glycolic acid that is hydrophilic, works great on the surface, but it doesn't work like a torpedo. The salicylic acid really works like a torpedo. It finds that sebum, goes for it, and attacks it. So it really has a wonderful, wonderful ability to reduce that inflammatory sebaceous activity.
We have a question here from Renee. Renee asks, can you still get a bit of a tan despite using UVA, UVB protection? And if so, is that still very damaging to the skin?
Lydia, you want to answer this?
Why don't you answer, then I put in my two cents.
So it depends. People think once they put in the SPF early in the morning, that's the end of it, and they could walk with it until the end of the day. SPF only works for a few hours, and getting the higher number doesn't mean that it's more effective. So it's a lot of misconception on that. So unless you staying outside and under the sun for hours and hours, then you would need to apply the SPF every 2 hours. I think that's the recommendation depending on what SPF you're using. Can you still get the UV light with SPF? Yes, you can, especially if that SPF already did a job and lost the effectiveness on your skin. So you definitely have to reapply it, especially if you're going on the beach, if you're in the water, you're staying under the sun for a long period of time, that SPF needs to be reapplied because it doesn't last long. It's not something that you put in once and you're done with it. If you are somewhere inside and just need to go to work and spend maybe half an hour walking and then stay the whole day inside, then you don't have to reapply it until you go back outside. So do you get exposed to UV light? Yes, but by applying SPF, it helps you to protect the damage that you get from UV light. We do need sunlight to absorb our vitamin D. We still need to get that sunshine for our health. It's beneficial, but the goal is not to burn your skin, not to cause damage to the skin with excessive exposure to UV light. And that's what SPF creams are for. It's protecting the outer layer from getting burned while it's permitting a little bit of UV light penetration that we need for vitamin D absorption. And Lydia, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah. So it's just a very simple rule. The SPF number that you see on sunscreens really indicate the duration of the time that this cream will protect you from burning. So it goes by Fitzpatrick scale. So I am Fitzpatrick scale 2. My own ability to my own melanin that's produced in my skin gives me the ability to stay on the sun for 10 minutes before I start burning. So if I'm going to use an SPF 30, I multiply SPF 30 by 10, and I now have 300 minutes of full protection before I have to reapply it again. So remember, it's your Fitzpatrick scale. So if you're blonde, blue eye, you probably have 5 minutes. You're light skin, Northern European like me, you have probably 10 minutes. If you're like Dr. Natalia with a little bit darker complexion, you may have 15 minutes before you start burning. But you need to have protection, and your time multiplied by the number that you see on the label is your full protection before you have to reapply it. It's a math. That's all what it is.
Susan Gaspora asks, is there such a thing called solar acne due to severe sun damage?
So solar acne really refers to the the name is acne Mallorca, and it refers to actually a condition that's caused by the sunscreen ingredients in the product, where you are going to develop almost something that looks like a rash. So it is your product exposed to the sun equals acne Mallorca.
Wow, that's interesting. Louise asks, greeting ladies, what are your thoughts on psoriasis? Can we treat it in the spa?
I guess that's question to me. Psoriasis is more an internal condition, and a lot of times it affects the scalp, it affects the body area, and somebody who has psoriasis, it's autoimmune condition, and autoimmune condition means that something inside is not working properly. We usually test for it. We check to see, a lot of times it's connected to the GI health, to microbiome and gut health. So we a lot of times eliminate breakouts of psoriasis by fixing somebody's GI tract hormones and changing their diet. What could be done from the skincare perspective? Most people that have psoriasis, they also have dry skin. So proper ingredients to calm the itching and to prevent the dry skin from happening, that's the skincare needs to be done from outside. Again, it's different based on where the plaques of psoriasis are. Is it on the scalp? Is it on the body part? I didn't see many people having it on the face, luckily, and I don't know yet why that happens. It seems to avoid the face as compared to other conditions like rosacea or acne. Psoriasis is mostly on the body, on the scalp. What I've seen good treatments, we have actually a special hair um, product that's specifically for psoriasis that help, and it's European, it's Israeli hair products that works. For the skin, we have special product for the skin as well. And interestingly enough, psoriasis responds well also to the UV light therapy. That's one of the treatments actually advised for the skin psoriasis. Again, it all depends where it is, what's caused by. I've seen great results with hormonal balancing and the GI treatment, like gut health fixing treatments. I've seen great results of psoriasis lesions being decreased and going away and staying away, because a lot of people have flare-ups and it keeps coming back. And another thing to look into, psoriasis in a lot of cases causes joint damage as well. You could have psoriatic arthritis. So that's something else to look into. Besides being unpleasant and having on the skin, we need to take a look to see if it's already causing damage inside, affecting the joint and affecting other part as well. So it's very interesting that it needs to be addressed, and it's important to make sure you address it as early as possible before it causes damage to inside and outside. I don't know, Lydia, if you have any products.
Yes, we actually do, and like you have said, Dr. Natalia, psoriasis is an autoimmune disease, and in my family, I had my aunt that suffered with it terribly from decades. And one thing I have always noticed, that her flare-ups came on when she was under stress, where the flare-ups have become much more active. I mean, I still have the picture in my, looking at her in the kitchen, and she would take the knife and literally scrape her arms because she was so itchy. And one thing, you're right, what helps with is the proper cleansing. So having a product like we now have the hand wash with a beautiful cocamidropropyl betaine as a surfactant, wonderful ylang ylang, chamomile, basil, a lot of herbs. It really helps the condition because it's mild. And one of the misconceptions have been is that you got to be rough with psoriasis. You got to use peels, scrubs, salts, all of that. It only makes the skin more irritated, and it's actually not advisable. So we advise using this product like the hand wash, Repassage hand wash, with a very soft sponge, very delicate sponge, not even washcloth, because washcloth can be a little bit too rough, to rinse the skin off with cool water, warm water, not hot water. Also taking a lukewarm bath with our seaweed bath product. It's very helpful. It really helps tremendously with the itching and the healing part. And you're right, sun is amazing. Once we're able to travel, if you really suffer terribly with psoriasis, Dead Sea is a marvelous place for psoriasis in Israel. And also today they have biologics like Stellara. I'm actually on Stellara for a different autoimmune disease, but it is really a magical biologic, and it works very well to control psoriasis.
CW asks, are there specific foods that cause cystic acne?
My
Dr.
question
Natalia?
is,
Yes.
I wouldn't say that it's, I guess it's specific more to a person. There's no one thing, and in my experience, I've seen different people react differently. And same goes with psoriasis as well. I have a client that just by stopping using dairy products, her acne and her psoriasis got eliminated. I have clients that react more to eggs. I have clients that cystic acne gets worse when there is a lot of sugar intake. It all depends where's that acne coming from. So there's no one answer. It depends on individuals. So I cannot kind of say that you should stop taking or should start drinking milk and that's going to take care of the problem. That's not how it works. So it has to be evaluated and assessed on an individual basis. And I kind of could tell, let's try eliminating this and this and this and see what exactly will work. So some products are more known to cause it, like dairy, I would say, eggs, any animal products for some people. For some people, it's sugar. So until you try eliminating one at a time and see if it's going to change anything, you wouldn't know. So it all depends where it's coming from.
Yeah, I find that one of the things that I would discuss also with our clients is I said, sometimes you could be your own very best advocate. You know, it's like when a baby is born, you don't give them a smorgasbord of food. You start with one food at a time and you see how they do it. So do the same thing in your diet. If you feel that some foods are the culprits, you know, eliminate everything and eat maybe just oatmeal, become a baby, and then you're doing good with oatmeal, add an applesauce, then add a banana, you know, and then you will see how you are doing with certain foods. You know, also a lot of hormones are in foods today in America. I remember 25 years ago reading about young girls at the age of 10 going through puberty and, you know, then discovering that the chickens that they were eating were filled with hormones. So try to buy, if you are eating meat, try to buy meat or chickens that are pasture raised without antibiotics, without hormones. You know, look at dairy products that are drinking milk like A2 from the European cows. You know, it's different. So be conscientious of the foods that you consume and be careful that the food that you eat is not pumped with hormones. That is the most important thing. You shouldn't be having issues with milk that comes from a good cow that's not fed antibiotics and it's not fed a bunch of hormones to make them fatter and bigger faster. So the quality of the food is very important. You're not going to get fat eating an egg that has no hormones, but you are going to get fat and get cystic acne if you eat an egg that's, you know, comes from a chicken that is, you know, injected with hormones and antibiotics. It's a very simple thing. You know, I'm now hooked on looking at a movie on Netflix, Outlander. And, you know, it's amazing. 1700s, people raised their own food. They knew what they put in the pot, you know. Today you go to the supermarket, everything is wrapped in plastic and you have no idea where it came from.
That's true.
Very
Well,
true.
one thing that was positive from this virus is people start cooking at home again. So
Yes.
I'm happy that at least people not eating processed food. So positive benefits out of all the situation, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
Yes.
The
And
silver line.
my grandson said yesterday, day before yesterday, he goes, you know, the one good thing about this COVID is that the air feels cleaner,
Yeah,
less pollution.
Yeah, that's true.
very true.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Dr. Natalia and Lydia. I always feel so inspired after our sessions and love to share the information with everyone. Um, Susan Gaspora says, thank you so much for these amazing webinars. I know I enjoy them. We're so happy that you do too. We'll be back next Thursday at 2 p.m. A super exciting and relevant topic, skincare and health and wellness during the pandemic. So make sure that you sign up or register. And I also reshared the links to book your complimentary consultations with Lydia and Dr. Natalia, as well as a link to purchase any of the Repassage home care products that we spoke about today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Dr. Natalia.
Thank you, guys. And thank you very much for joining us. I do enjoy our webinars. I think it's very educational and something that people need right now. We have time, so we're kind of getting the time used for a good purpose.
Dr. Natalia, thank you so much. Erin, I don't know, I think I see future Barbara Walters in Bethlehem. Terrific with these webinars.
Yeah, she's very
Thank
good,
you.
right? So,
She's very well prepared. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you to our participants. We enjoy sharing our knowledge with you. And as they say, until next time, until next Thursday, stay healthy, stay well, and take good care of yourself. Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.